You want bread? You
You
want to
want
talk about bread?
you want to talk about bread? Yeah, okay.
You want to talk about bread?
So what's your favorite kind of bread?
Sourdough bread. What's your favorite kind of
Sourdough.
bread?
Sourdough. I like brioche. Brioche is really really good.
Brioche. It's got a
It's
good
yeah. It's
sweetness to it. Yeah.
it's a kind of sweet and kind of like soft and airy, but yet still
Yeah.
kind of warm, and it's really good. You just
It's good
yeah
when it's warm. You know,
yeah yeah.
soft,
Like you don't want your
crispy on
bread.
the edge.
Actually,
What
bread
the fuck
even
is wrong with you guys?
even when bread is like really
Can you
really
guys
hot, it
shut up, please?
kind of
Shut the
burns
Hey,
fuck up!
what's
kind of
your
burns the
thoughts
roof
on
of your mouth.
seeded bread, man?
Seeded bread.
Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Shut
Seeded
up!
bread.
Shut up!
Seeded bread is quite
Seeded
good.
bread.
You know, it works sesame seeds or like even poppy
Nah,
seeds.
seeded bread, like man, it's
Like, what
just
do you mean?
not a vibe.
Really?
Like,
You're not a
yeah,
big
man,
fan
like you
of.
can't. It doesn't pair well with certain additives like cheese and things. Like, man, it
No,
just gets that really
I think
weird
it's.
crunch
I think
that like
it's.
doesn't make much sense to like be there, you know, man.
I think it's
Like,
kind of better. I
honestly,
think it's kind of better.
honestly, man, I think it's better to have a nice, soft, powdered like flour crust. You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay.
Like, it's
Okay.
much better and much more good texture-wise than like having a bunch of small crunchy things, right?
Alright,
Also, but
what
like
about?
it
Okay.
depends, man, because it's like if you get it from a bakery or like a professional, then seeded is incredible, right?
Yeah.
But if you get it from somewhere like Sainsbury's,
Yeah.
like just go die in a fire, you
Tell
know?
me a
Like
little
there's
about.
no
Tell me
point.
a little bit more about Sainsbury's. Is their bread kind of good?
Sainsbury's,
Is it good or
no,
no? Not
it's
really.
Sainsbury's.
Yeah. Okay. Damn. Okay. I'm not sure about that.
You see, if you, it's and
Okay.
plus it's expensive, man. Like
You know.
Sainsbury's,
You know what's
it's
really
better
good?
to just go to Tesco, get yourself a meal deal, you know, get yourself a loaf of bread, get the milk, you know, don't leave your wife hanging, bro. You gotta get your milk and go back home to the wife and kids. You know what I mean? Like, don't be one of them dads that's like, let me go get the milk and then fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, but like, you know what I mean, man? Like,
Yeah.
it's really weird because if you like, it depends because you need like brown bread. It's healthier, right?
True.
But
True.
white bread,
But guess
it's
what?
better and
Brown
more
bread.
versatile than other things because brown bread can be really dry. So if you don't get it from a good source, like I don't know, Asda or Morrison's, like a proper shop or Waitrose if you're really that
Yeah.
classy, or an actual bakery if you're fucking Chad, right?
Okay. Well.
Then it's really not worthwhile getting brown bread because it's just gonna taste like sawdust in your mouth. Where
Think about
white
this
bread
though.
has that good flavor balance of like
Did you
good
know?
and
Did you know that?
crispy like edges and
Did
that.
you know that brown bread actually has more calories than regular white bread?
Bro,
Does
what
it?
the
Yeah, it
fuck
does.
is
I've been
wrong
lied
with
to my whole
Actually,
life. My God.
Why
you
are
know
you
the you
still
know the
talking
you know the
bread?
ready-made loaves of
Talking
bread.
about bread.
The actual brown bread sometimes is mixed with caramel because it's actually cheaper to produce caramel.
I fucking hate both of you.
It's true. It's true. So we have the brown bread, and they mix it with caramel, and they allow people to just eat this bread, and it's really really unhealthy, and people are looking for the healthier option, but they trick them. These corporations like to trick their customers by selling them the most degenerate crap ever. So
Technically, brown bread's just terrible in every sense.
true.
Fuck
No,
brown bread.
No, but brown bread can be really good because when you have brown bread from like a bakery or somewhere proper and respected, you actually get some really excellent bread. And
I
it's
mean, yeah,
actually,
you get some really
better for
crisp
you
notes from the
because
flavor.
you also get the omega-3 fiber, and you actually get fiber
That's
from the
true.
bread, so it's much healthier overall than white bread, which is bleached and is missing a lot of the proper nutrients. Although
That's true.
some breads like made from flour, like have you heard of naan bread
I have, yes,
or
naan bread.
chapati? It's so good, especially when
That's
it's
true.
right out of the kiln. Oh my god, it's so good. Like here in my country, they serve this bread, and it's like from these Indian restaurants that they slap it on the side of the kiln and just cook it for just the right amount of time, and then you get the bread,
Yeah.
and then you just put it right in your mouth right away, and it's so good. It's so
I hate
delicious.
bread.
You eat the bread, and it just makes you wanna curl up in a ball and just hug
Yeah.
hug the bread.
Like,
hug the loaf.
here's a good question though,
Yeah,
right?
what's your
What do you think about the use of like barley bread or barley flour other than like, you know, wheat? What do you think about that? Because I think that it really ruins the soft pull that you get from most bread now.
True. Well, I think that bread is actually kind of it's a free medium. You can really go both ways with it. I mean,
It's like a Bob Ross painting, man. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
happy little accidents, man.
Yeah, so barley isn't so bad. It may be a bit dry and it may be a bit grainy, but barley provides the fiber that you need.
That's
your
true.
body.
At least they're not using something like fucking cattail, man. Like,
True.
cattail just isn't the kind of grain you need for bread. It would be such a grainy mess that would fall apart, man.
I think pumpkin seeds on bread is actually kind of good.
Or even like foxtail millet. It just isn't the kind of grain you need for this kind of thing, man. I mean,
What do
I'm
you
sure
think
people have tried it, but it's not a vibe.
What do you think of bread made with semolina flour?
I think that it shouldn't be made with the semolina flour, but instead it should just go around the bread because it has a nice flavor to it that
Yeah.
gives the bread a nice bit of oomph that it needs sometimes, you know?
They actually use that in pizza shops every once in a while. They actually provide
Yeah, man, they put it on the
semolina-
bottom of the
yeah,
pizzas.
and
and
it's
it's
so good, and it kind of protects it from getting moist.
yeah, exactly, man. Don't want that soggy bottom, man. You just want that crispness.
You know, and we always knock white bread, but it's so reliable. And like milk
That's
bread
true,
is so
man.
good.
But I feel like it's way better to get unsliced bread unless you're in a real rush.
True.
Cutting it yourself makes it so much better, and it lets you keep that nice crispy texture on the outside than the really soft plumpness, you know?
It's actually better for supporting your community by buying fresh bread from bakeries as well.
Exactly,
Although it
man,
doesn't have the
exactly.
preservatives, bread is supposed to be a commodity that you kind of eat immediately. Unless you're someone who's busy or cannot consume that amount of bread within a day or two, then you might as well go for something like with a bit more preservatives. It is unfortunate, but it is how certain people live. You can't
Yeah,
really
man. I
lose
mean,
that.
especially if you're trying to pair it with a good wine, like a good bread is really something people miss out on when they're having a nice wine.
I mean,
Or a nice piece of cheese.
Yeah,
to
Are
it's
go,
you
okay.
old
a
enough
nice
to
bit of
drink?
cheese.
What
I've
the
never had
fuck?
wine, but I've had
I'm
cheese.
British. I can drink as much as I want.
Cheese
Anyway.
with bread is really, really good. It's excellent.
That's
Especially
true, man. It's
if you pair
incredible.
it with a bit of a softer cheese, like if you get a toasted bread with a little bit of
Like a nice brie. A nice brie,
yes,
man.
a nice brie to just cut and give it that little bit of softness.
Or maybe one of those what's that one cheese that has like like the really gooey middle but they keep the hard crust around it?
I'm not sure. That
Like you
reminds me.
dip it in
Yeah, it
and
reminds
it's
me of
like
brie. I'm not sure. I'm not much of a cheese expert. All I know is that brie is really good with bread.
camembert.
Oh yeah, okay, hamburger. Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah,
before.
man.
Yeah, it's quite.
That's the kind of cheese you need with a good bread, man.
It's quite good. It's quite good. Yeah.
Especially if you pair it with like a ripped bread instead of like a sliced
Okay,
bread. You just
yeah.
rip it off from the actual loaf. Just dip it in the cheese and there you
What do
go,
you
man.
think of focaccia bread?
I've never heard of it. Please elaborate.
It's quite good. It's like you have it with cheese and stuff. It's like
Wow.
it's almost like how do I describe it? It's like pulled apart a bit, and it's quite good. But I've only had it once, and it's quite good. But there's this new type of bread I tried out a couple of days ago. Sourdough, as you mentioned. It's
Sourdough,
really
it's good, man.
I've never really had sourdough before, but
The
honestly,
key to a good sourdough is in the starter, man. You
Really?
have to have a good starter. Yeah, man. It's what gives it the whole lift.
It was
If you
kinda
have a flat
tangy,
sourdough, it won't be airy, man. And a fucking flat sourdough. Ugh. Who wants an unairy, terrible piece of bread, man?
True. I agree. You know what's my favorite kind of bread though? Besides brioche, I like flatbread. Like it's called paratha. It's an Indian style of bread, and it's really, really good. It's like layered. It's almost like a croissant, but layered. And it has less...
Croissants, man.
Yeah, croissants are really good. They're
Like,
really
how did
airy.
someone even come up with that, man? Like, putting a nice piece of pastry and butter in between every single layer? Man, it's
Exactly, yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, puff
Like,
pastry.
I
You guys
wonder
are
what the first
fucking
croissant actually looked like, man.
so
Because
annoying.
surely the amount of layers they did, they must have had a lot of time on their hands, man. Because
Did you actually
you
know
need at
that...
least 100 layers, man,
Yeah.
to make it good croissant.
Exactly. Well, did you know that back in the day, something similar to a croissant, but there was this town in Romania that was battling another rival town, and they were starving through the winter, but they wanted to lower the morale of the enemy town, so the women of the town would create bread, and it would be completely hollow, but would look like a massive loaf of bread, and they would just surround it around like a metal pike or something like that, and it would be a really big piece of bread, and then the enemy soldiers would see that and they'd be really jealous because they can see it from a distance, this massive loaves of bread, and now it's like celebrated in their nation, and they sometimes put sugar on it and cinnamon, and it makes it like really delicious.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds good, man. Like, I feel like people don't really respect how much effort goes into certain cuisine. Like some basic things we have now, like bread, man, there's a lot of effort that went into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there was the downside, which was people used to put like shit in it, like sawdust. That's why the baker's ounce, was it? The that
Baker's
came
dozen.
into a thing.
Baker's
Baker's
dozen.
dozen, that's
Yes.
it, which is actually 11.
No, that's untrue. It's actually 13. So
Oh,
a dozen
yeah,
is
sorry,
12,
yes,
so
of
Baker's
course,
dozen
I'm
is
sorry.
13. But that's actually
Yeah, my
because
apologies.
Bakers sometimes, well, obviously if it's good bread, it may have some inconsistencies. So either a piece of bread falls, or it gets burnt a bit. So the baker's dozen would always present you with 12 pieces of bread. But in reality, the baker made 13 just in case. Just in case one didn't work out as well as the others. So it's always almost like an insurance policy that bakers would
Wow,
do
I didn't
back
know
in the
that,
day.
man.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the versatility of bread? I think
The versatility of bread, man, it's really versatile. It's quite a plain actual thing, to be honest, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
it's quite a versatile thing due to how plain it is. It can be paired with quite a lot of things, man. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many things
you
you
can
can
have bread
actually
with
put
pretty
it
much
with.
everything. Bread is
Yeah, man,
quite
like
amazing.
anything
But-
that's like super soft, or you
But-
can put it with
Yeah.
something
Why are you
hard.
doing
You
that?
can use it as a
Stop.
dip or anything
Yeah.
like that, man. It's really
You can-
versatile piece of
You can
piece of
have
food, man.
bread with pizza. You can have it with burgers. You can have it with ham and cheese.
Yeah,
You can have it
man.
with anything that you can think of.
Like, there's a lot of really common dishes that now include quite a lot of bread, man.
What's your favorite bread dish? What's your favorite bread?
Favorite bread dish? Oh, I'm not sure, man. That's a really hard question, but it might have to be a pizza, man.
Ooh, that's a really good choice.
Like, it's a very Italian style use of bread.
Oh, did you actually know that pizza didn't originate in Italy, but actually originated around the Middle East, where it was
that's pretty crazy, man.
served as flatbread with a bit of
crazy,
olive oil and some very small amounts of cheese and olives.
Lots of cheese. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty mad.
And a bit of thyme as well. That's how they served it, and then
that's pretty cool,
the margarita pizza was actually named I'm pretty sure after a queen or princess or something like that. I'm not sure 100%.
Wow.
I'd need to fact check myself later on, but like
Yeah,
that was the first origination of true pizza. But pizza
Wow.
wasn't really popularized until it arrived in the United States when after World War II, when soldiers were stationed, when American soldiers were stationed in Italy, and they would have these ready-made homemade pizzas, and then when they came back, they had a real hankering for it. And the good people of the United States created these pizzas that were fast and really excellent. And now that's kind of the new standard when it comes to pizza. But I think pizza can really keep expanding and improving, just like the humble sandwich, which is honestly by far my favorite. My favorite bread-based dish, because you can do so much with a sandwich. You can put whatever you want inside the sandwich. You can customize the bread however you want. But have you heard of a pizza pocket?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so the pizza pocket is like, it's almost like a sandwich, but pizza-fied.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So like,
I'll be honest, man.
yeah.
I'll be honest. I think that the pizza pocket is actually quite an underrated and, very fast foodified kind of dish
True.
because people think that it's quite an unhealthy, ungourmet type dish, but it can really be turned into something quite incredible, man.
True. Did you know that pizza pockets were actually created, not really pizza pockets in general, but like these small handheld sandwiches and stuff, were actually created for miners. Not miners as in children, but people who actually go to the mines to mine for coal, and they never really had time to eat breakfast in the morning. So their wives and children would make them these pizza pockets that they would eat while on duty, farming away or mining away, and they really worked really hard on creating this, and they mass produced it once again. So like a lot of these food dishes came from a source of need. Like bread originates hundreds of thousands of years ago when the first farmers of Mesopotamia created just grain in general. They started harvesting grain and mass producing it and creating, I guess, how would I describe it? It would be more like very, very flat breads that were just flour mixed with water, and it would be cooked up, and it would be very, very plain, but it wouldn't actually be bad at all. And you know that someone was able to calculate like how the ingredients were back in the day, and you could actually make a nice burger with the stuff that you could get in Roman times. So in ancient Rome, you could create a burger. So they could have created burgers and had burgers for millennia before, but they only decided to create burgers in the 19th century, and that's kind of disappointing. Imagine
It really is, man. Like, people could have done that so long ago.
Exactly. Like think of how much pasta has evolved through its years, and how it was consumed years and years ago. Hundreds of years ago. Now it's a dish that's so complex, has different sauces, and
even has different shapes which are used for different dishes now, man.
Exactly.
It's pretty crazy.
That's quite great. So back to bread.
Bread.
So do you prefer your bread more crunchy, or do you prefer it more soft in general?
It more soft, like on the inside, with a pretty solid crunch on the outside, man.
Yeah.
But I think that toast was a really strange way to do bread, man, because they kind of, like, they didn't cook the bread again.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
cooked the outside of the bread again, man.
Yes.
It's really weird, to be honest. But it was such a crazy innovation that happened, man.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that bread is better when it's a bit softer, in my opinion.
Yeah, man,
so like,
that's true.
if you've had potato rolls, they're very, very good. Like bread rolls in general are quite good, but when you have them with like potato loaves, it's absolutely fantastic. It's like you can really create bread out of anything that you can think of. There are people creating bread in the most different ways ever, and it's fantastic. It's like any type of flour that you can make, like corn flour. Like you can have cornbread now, and you can have potato bread. Anything starchy, it remotely can create really good bread. Like, have you ever had zucchini bread or pumpkin bread?
No, I have not.
Or like even different kinds of cake, which is like just sweet bread. It's just bread but sweet. And I found that very fascinating because, you know Marie Antoinette, right? You know how she said, "Let them eat cake." She never actually said that. The real phrase was kind of lost in translation. The real phrase was lost in translation, so she didn't actually say that, but she was very, very rude to the people while the French Revolution was going on. They were up in their castle eating cake, and that's why the French farmers and the peasants were getting sick of the royalty, because the royalty had so much, and they had so little. They had nothing, but they had barely enough ingredients to create bread. Imagine a life without bread. The world has survived solely on bread. Did you know that bread is actually the most popular food of all time?
I did.
Yeah. So like, imagine a world without bread. Like, what would be the staple food? Would everybody be eating meat without bread? Would they be eating vegetables without the bread? Imagine a burger without bread. I mean, you can't really have a burger without bread. It's called a lettuce wrap, so that you would have like 2 pieces of lettuce, and it would wrap the burger, and it's like, it's supposed to be like a protein style burger, but like,
It's really hard for me to be this quiet, man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm a loud person, and you're making this really hard for me.
Hi Zoe, how are you doing?
Oh my
So-
god, finally, Jesus Christ. Oh. That was really hard for me to be that quiet for so long. Jesus Christ, I'm a loud person and that was hard. How dare you make me do that for so long, Zozo.
Hey, but dude,
Jesus
I
Christ.
fucking love bread. Bread is so fucking good.
I am not going back down there again.